KHOU 11 News at 5:30 starts now.
At the end of the day, this H that you see on the back of our shirts stands for Houston, not homicide. Amen. And we plan to keep it that way.
Community activists and local leaders rally at a church in the Greenspoint area saying it's all hands on deck to stop the skyrocketing violence in our city. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ron Trevino. Welcome to our webcast. Today's rally comes as Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner says the city could see its 400th murder of the year. Police say as of last count, they've investigated 399 homicides, making this the deadliest year in Houston's recent history. Here's Matt Doherty.
At the Stop the Violence rally in Greenspoint, organizers provided food and groceries to residents who they say live in one of the city's most violent neighborhoods. This afternoon, the Houston Police Department reported to the mayor's office that the city had seen its 399th homicide so far this year.
Well, the percentage of homicides have gone up dramatically. And that's why it requires now an all-hands-on-deck approach.
Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner says the way to reduce the deaths is by engaging communities with the help from both leaders and neighbors.
But there are a lot of needs in our community. Right. There are a lot of people feel as though that they've been overlooked, forgotten, and we need to get inside these communities, on these streets, in these neighborhoods, and let people know that we do care.
The mayor also said the numbers used in yesterday's Wall Street Journal article, which showed a record number of the city's murders are going unsolved, no longer stand. He says Houston police are now solving 58% of the homicides, much more than they were even last month.
And we're putting even more resources, for example, internally to investigate these crimes. More resources have been given to these detectives so that they can work more time, overtime if necessary. But I would tell you in a relatively short period of time already, based on what we have already done, that the clearance rate has already shot up to 58% and increasing.
Although Houston police reportedly told the Wall Street Journal the rise in homicides has been driven by gang shootings, Mayor Turner says the violence is much more widespread.
Well, I think we have to be very careful when we start assigning, to one group, because I think we will make a serious mistake. And then bear in mind, these crimes are all over.
Matt Doherty, KHOU 11 News.
Firefighters are on the scene of a house explosion on Dulce near Bell Bay Street in southeast Houston. No injuries reported, but the house was destroyed. The fire chief says a resident reported smelling natural gas. He says the home exploded when crews got there. The blast shook and damaged nearby homes.
Then when it hit my house, I was sitting in the bedroom looking at TV, and a big boom. I didn't notice it had busted the windows. It's just a big boom noise, and I looked and the windows was all busted out.
The fire chief says it will be some time before they can make an official determination on the cause of that explosion. Authorities have identified a man named Anthony Warner as the Nashville bomber. Officers searched Warner's home yesterday after getting a tip. Several neighbors reported seeing an RV in the backyard of the home similar to the RV that blew up outside the AT&T building in downtown Nashville. Police say DNA tissue found at the scene matches Warner, indicating this was a suicide bombing. They're still trying to determine a motive, but they say they're confident there are no further threats to their city.
Anthony Warner is the man believed to be responsible for this horrible crime. There is no indication presently that anyone else was involved in this crime. As I've said earlier and several times before, Nashville is considered safe. There are no known threats against this city.
3 people were hurt in the explosion. Dozens of buildings were damaged and communication services were knocked out in that area. Lawmakers are urging President Trump to sign the $900 billion COVID relief package. Extra unemployment benefits for millions of Americans expired at midnight because the bill has not become law. The president is still demanding the package be amended to include bigger stimulus checks. In addition to the unemployed, his failure to sign the bill could also hurt millions of people who have fallen behind on their rent. A federal moratorium on evictions is set to expire December 31st. Time now for a check on the weather. Blake, tracking some major changes coming this week.
Very big changes. In fact, it's going to be a very busy week, it looks like, here in the weather department. In fact, I was just updating our website here, and it looks like we have everything on the table. So no matter whether you like warm weather, you like cold weather, rain, thunderstorms, severe weather, wintry weather, yes, all of it is on the table over the course of the next 7 days. So let's get right to it. First off, here is a look at your New Year's Eve forecast. That is the day that is in big question right now, and the reason why, because that is the day we could see a transition over to some wintry weather, especially in our far northwest zones that we'll talk about here coming up. But as we approach the midnight hour on on Thursday heading into Friday, it's going to be a cold evening as clouds begin to move out. 38 degrees at that midnight hour, 35 degrees by 2 a.m., and it does look like we are in for a freeze as we head into the early morning hours of Friday. No freeze right now. Temperatures holding in the 70s at just about everywhere you look. Well, Katy just notched down there to 68, but again, it is a nice evening out there, but very, very warm for this time of year, all thanks in part to that southeast wind coming in between 5 and about 15 miles per hour. So as we head into the overnight hours, look for temperatures to bottom out right around 56, 57 degrees. Not going to be all that cool for this time of year. Remember, our average low temperature is down in the low 40s for this time of year. So we're well above average. Tomorrow, I think we're going to continue that with temperatures in the low to mid 70s. Now, statewide, not too much going on as we expand the view. Look out towards the Four Corners there, out towards, say, southern Utah. That is our next storm system that is going to begin to work its way into Texas, and that is what's going to bring us our chance of strong to severe thunderstorms ahead of a very powerful Canadian cold front that's going to bring sharply colder temperatures by the end of the week. So here's how it all plays out. Right now, temperatures warm across the state of Texas and really relatively mild, especially for areas to the north. It's only 35 right now in Omaha. Keep in mind it's the end of December, so they've certainly seen a lot worse. However, things begin to change. You'll notice that big trough out there across the western United States, what you see in blue, is sort of taking the shape of a U there. That is a strong cold front that's going to be working its way into Texas. With it is going to bring some cold weather, and you see that area of low pressure that's going to push through the state of Texas as well. That is a cold upper level low, and the reason why the designation of a cold upper level low is important is because as that area of low pressure powers up over the state of Texas, it will begin to pull in very cold air into the low itself. Now, what does that mean? It means that the atmosphere could become sufficiently cold enough that we could see some transition from rain to some wintry weather as we get into New Year's Eve. So here's how it all plays out. This takes us into 12:30 on Thursday morning. This is New Year's Eve morning. You'll see that front just reaching the Houston area. Temperatures dropping into the 50s. You see some snow out there across west and central Texas. But as we get into Thursday afternoon, you'll notice how that snow really begins to expand across the I-35 corridor and getting pretty close to us here in southeast Texas. Now, I want to emphasize very, very carefully, I want you to listen, that I am not anticipating wintry weather in Houston at this time. I think that the best chance of wintry weather will stay well to the north and west of the city, and you'll see that coming up here in just a moment. But I don't want to downplay the severe weather threat and the heavy rain threat either. You'll see Thursday morning some very heavy thunderstorms pushing on through the area. Some areas could receive 3 to 5 inches of rain before it's all said and done. But again, as that system moves out and that cold upper level low pushes through, the atmosphere could cool down briefly enough to allow a transition over to some wintry weather out towards College Station, Huntsville, and Madisonville. Again, I want to emphasize, I do not anticipate that this is going to get close enough to Houston right now. But again, this is an evolving situation and something we'll continue to watch. Now, here's the European model. The last model we were looking at was the GFS, and again, it's showing those strong thunderstorms rolling on through here in the wee morning hours of Thursday, and you'll notice that this particular model is keeping most of the wintry weather to the north and west of College Station. So generally, I think this is going to be a central and north Texas event if one were to occur. Taking a look at our snow meter, right now I am not anticipating wintry weather in the city of Houston, but it may just be worth a drive up to College Station if and only if this were to occur. So as we take a look at the GFS as far as the amount of rain that we can expect, again, 1 to 3 inches looking like a pretty good possibility for most areas across southeast Texas, although some isolated amounts could approach 5 inches before it's all said and done, especially in some of the heavier thunderstorms. So as we take a look at the 7-day outlook, 72 degrees, 74, 75 heading into Wednesday. We've got that 90% chance of showers and thunderstorms, some of which could be on the strong to severe side. We'll watch that very carefully as that rolls on through and run sharply colder temperatures as we get into Thursday. We will struggle struggle to make it into the mid-40s. And again, if there is any chance of snow or some sort of wintry weather, it will be in our northwest zones, Brenham, College Station, maybe Madisonville. But again, this forecast will continue to waffle back and forth. Again, not something I'm going to hang my hat on and not something to get excited about here locally. But again, that forecast will continue to change over the next couple of days. And then we warm it up into the 50s to around 60 degrees heading into the coming weekend. So I've got a little something for everybody, Ron, and hopefully that gets your attention and makes you smile a little bit.
Yeah, it got my attention. We just have to pay attention to you and, all the meteorologists here at KHOU all week long. All right, thank you so much, Blake. Hey, that's going to do it for us for now. For all the good folks here at KHOU, I'm Ron Trevino. Be sure to catch us on TV tonight at 10 o'clock.